Kids should never be indoctrinated. They should be educated.
Respect for various people that are different from you.
The Department of Education, he wants to get rid of it. He wants to put Linda McMahon, the education secretary, out of a job.
We've got some clips of Lara Trump on Fox News, someone who definitely isn't only there because of her last name, as she sounds off on indoctrination in schools, so strap in, it's sure to be spicy. If you can, take a second and leave us a like, it really helps us out, and we're going to be back heavily ready to fact check this.
Kids should never be indoctrinated. They should be educated. And you talk to parents all over this country, and that's what they want to see happen. You know, whenever we see our test scores falling farther and farther behind other developed nations, you have so many kids who aren't meeting these, just standard grade level requirements for math and reading. We have to cut out all that fat, all that nonsense, the DEI, the indoctrination, the woke ideology. That's not why parents are sending their kids to school. They're sending them there to learn.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, this is something we can all rally behind and all get behind. And you're right. It was COVID-19. It was the pandemic that exposed so much of this. And now parents have taken action. It's exactly the reason that I think parents have gotten so inspired. You see Virginia with a Republican governor, Glenn Youngkin, because parents got involved.
So just a few things on this. First off, if we don't want indoctrination in schools, I agree. So let's end the Pledge of Allegiance being said with the one nation under God. I mean, that's religious indoctrination at its finest. And second, I just think this argument is so tired. I mean, for me, it's just annoying because now, like, we know pretty strongly that the biggest indicator of educational success is socioeconomic status. It's literally that simple. If we want to tackle our educational deficits, we should address poverty and wealth inequality. And then we should probably pay teachers more so more people want to be teachers and do their job better, while also making getting a degree for teaching easier, financially that is, as to close the barrier for so many people. None of these are things any Republican will ever agree to do or even concede ground on. So why would we play these fantasy fairy tale Department of Education is the issue games with them?
Respect for various people that are different from you within the classroom and so forth. They don't seem to get it, that the American public has turned a corner on this, but they haven't.
Yeah, they don't get it in this space. And I'm going to say they, as basically the Democrat Party as a whole, they don't get it that the American people also don't want illegal immigrants in this country. That is a unanimous thing. If you look at polling for the American public, a majority of Americans do not want these people here. The American people don't want to send our money overseas to wars that we're not even a part of. Yeah. They want to keep it here in America. And they also want to see our federal government cut back. They don't want the bloat. They don't want the fraud, the waste and abuse that we've seen.
I'm starting to think Republicans literally can't do an interview in any capacity without mentioning undocumented immigration because it wasn't even kind of the question. But I do want to show you guys this. America is by and far the worst country for income inequality. We exhibit the worst among developed nations, with a disproportionate part of our wealth being held by the top 10%, meaning the majority of wealth in America is hoarded in ways that avoid taxation or redistribution, and essentially either in safe havens, the market, above income thresholds like with Social Security. And it's again why you can see a uniquely poor educational issue in America compared to the other developed countries. But of course, again, Republicans will never mention this, which is why it makes this debate annoying.
Donald Trump is 100% on board to ensure that education, when he leaves office, is far better than he found it. He wants to dismantle the Department of Education. He wants to get rid of it. He wants to put Linda McMahon, the education secretary, out of a job. Right. And if you look at the polling with college students, David, they made the difference in this past election for President Trump. They have had a huge shift to a more conservative space. You see an almost 12-point shift in 18 to 21-year-olds to the conservative side, to Republican politics versus, where they were even 4 years ago. So it's obviously not working for the Democrats, but I'm glad that people are finally seeing the light in so many spaces, especially on those college campuses. By the way,
it's funny to me because the Department of Education is what Republicans always like to talk about when they pretend to care about education, but it essentially stands to ensure that low-income students can go to public school and that special needs children have the resources they need at public school, both of which, to my point, are the only efforts that we have to really address the socioeconomic issues that affect education. And I think, if anything, they want to leave these kids out of schools so they can then say, well, they're not there because less poor kids higher testing scores. But of course, Republicans' major reason for this is just wanting to get rid of the biggest barrier they have to further privatization, as all they care about is profit. And funny enough, indoctrination, both of which are a lot easier with privatized Christian nationalist schools that would undoubtedly be replacing public schools if Republicans got their way.